Submitting to censorship is to enter the seductive world of the giver. The world where there are no bad words, no bad deeds. But it is also the world where choice has been taken away and reality distorted. And that is the most dangerous world of all.
Access denied.
Censorship is the first act of a criminal government desperate to cover its ill-doings from the people that it is controlling. There's no reason for censorship other than to prevent people seeing things which you do not want them to see, which may reveal your own activities. Censorship is a very good indication of the level of corruption your government has degraded to. When censorship is introduced, it is a very good indication that your government has now reached a point where it is completely out of control, and the politicians have backed themselves into a corner so far with their criminal actions that they now need to introduce what is essentially thought crime, which is what censorship is. And of course, the governments always do this in order to cover up their own activities. Censorship is introduced not to cover up that which is dangerous or harmful. It's introduced in order to prevent people from ever asking questions that need to be asked. And governments introduce censorship because they do not want their actions questioned. That's just the way it is. And, when the government deems itself to be worthy of dictating what people can or cannot look at, what people can or cannot say, what people can or cannot think, then you have really reached the end of any type of real society at all. In such a situation, there can be no expression of real humanity, there can be no development of genius, no development of new ideas, no thinking outside the box at all. The introduction of censorship is essentially the introduction of thought crime. It is people dictating what you can think, what you can look at, what you can't look at, what is deemed safe for you, what is deemed unsafe for you. Censorship is someone telling you what you can or cannot think, and it is someone else making that decision for you. The introduction of censorship in any society spells a very dangerous time for that society, because history has shown us that first comes the censorship, then comes the disappearances, then comes the imprisonment. Censorship is not acceptable in any progressive society. It's not beneficial to a progressive society. It's not beneficial for human development. It doesn't help anybody except those in power who have a lot to hide. And more people need to speak out about this, because approving of censorship of anyone, approving of the silencing of any voice, is approving of the censorship of yourself. That's the way it works. If you're willing to silence one voice, then you're okay with your own voice being silenced. And that might be okay in your situation in the world today, but what if something happens, you actually see something wrong and you want to say something about it and you can't? What do you do then? That's the thing, folks. People don't realize what censorship really means on a personal level, and they need to think about it. Freedom for all is freedom for all, and freedom of speech is the most basic foundation of freedom. Without that, you have nothing. So this level of censorship simply is not acceptable. Not under any type of government. Doesn't matter who they are. Because freedom of speech is essential to any functional society. This gives the government the ability to be able to do anything, and it removes us of the ability to be able to sound any warning bells. It completely derails any effort for whistleblowers in the future. It doesn't matter how corrupt any organisation, any government organisation, any type of situation is, nobody will be able to blow the whistle on it, because if they do, reporting the crime will be classed as a crime. The whole political system, the whole financial system, all of it is such a puppet show, and they're heading us to this really dystopian reality. And it's a spiritual test. What's going on here is a spiritual test, folks. It's a soul test. The way to get through this is to be in the correct energetic state. But the trick is to be in the correct energetic state through this, with everything that's coming, because it's a soul test. And ultimately, you're going to come down to a point where you have to make that choice yourself as to whether to stand your ground. And a lot of people are just standing it now. A lot of people are just saying, no, we're not going to do this anymore. And I don't think they're going to win. I don't think the powers that believe they be have any hope of pulling off what they want to do. I think too many people are going to push back. I think too many people are already. I think they've moved too fast. I think they've had to move this fast out of necessity. I don't think they wanted to, but they have to.
just tell you to prepare for what's coming, folks. But keep a positive attitude to it all. You can't think that they've won. You can't think that it's all just a foregone conclusion and things are going to go to where the powers that believe they be want them to go, because such is not the case at all. I already reckon they've moved way too fast, and I think they've done so out of necessity, because they know the wheels are falling off. They know they're in trouble. They know that there's a lot of people waking up, a lot of people pushing back. I mean, the way they've done this, they've red-pilled most of the world themselves. So many people are getting it now. So many people are speaking out about it now. So many people are just not prepared to do what they're told anymore. And that's a really good thing to see. All, of course, because of the media enablers. That's how they're able to do it. And we've got to stop pussyfooting around with these people, folks. We really do. We've got to realise that we can't be nice about this anymore. We've got to start calling these people out.
It's such an important time in history, and we've got to keep pushing back, because the people that are doing this, they don't take days off. And that's why we shouldn't be taking days off either. Those of us who are awake, we need to keep pushing this, folks. It's a very, very important time. People really don't see what this system has the potential of becoming and really what it's going to lead to, and it's imperative that they wake up to it. It really is. And trying to find ways to combat this, really it all comes down to getting the information to people, and this is where the mainstream media has truly failed on the most phenomenal scale ever witnessed in media history, I would suggest. I mean, the mainstream media is so far off target in what they've been reporting on the news. I mean, they've always been bad, and the media was constructed in order to be the government watchdog. The media was constructed in order to blow the whistle on government misdoings and to tell us, we the people, what is actually going on in the world. But all the media does now is feed us what the government tells them they should feed us. And it is so far from the truth that it has become an absolute parody of reality. It really has. There's no truth anywhere in the mainstream media. But it is getting quite desperate, folks. I mean, it's important that people really do pay attention to these things, and it's ridiculous, folks. We need to start taking things into hand ourselves, and we don't need violence or anything like that. All we need to do is make our voices heard. Be prepared to talk to your neighbours, be prepared to talk to your community, be prepared to go and make a bit of a noise at public gatherings and a bit of a noise at some of these government meetings, and let them know that we're not happy, let them know that we're going to start taking action against them, and that we've figured out what's going on. But, all of this has been planned, all of this has been long orchestrated. We never really look at the bigger picture, and I really do wonder what on earth is really going on here. But that's what appears to be happening, And when you see that the underlying fabric of this society is based on fear, I mean, all of it is based on fear, fear-based mind control, it's the whole thing, folks, just the way we have to worry about survival so much and gathering the paper we need to pay to be alive and getting these little pennies to put in our money boxes and, in fear of the concrete jungles we live in. Everything about this system, this whole reality is an emotional mirror. And this is how it works, folks. And when you really see this and you begin to truly understand the power of emotion, you can see how we could so easily get out of this mess. This is what I've often said, we could change the world in 3 seconds. If there was a worldwide epiphany and everyone simply changed their perspective, we could literally change the world that quickly. 3 seconds, we could all be doing something different. And is that going to happen? No, because there probably won't be this worldwide epiphany. But that doesn't mean it isn't possible that we can do this. That doesn't mean that isn't how powerful, incredibly powerful. And this is why technology isn't even really the threat. The scrying mirrors and this whole smart system isn't really the threat. It's our inability to deal with it in the right way. It's our inability to love ourselves and to love each other through this. Something that's really happened with the internet, by giving everybody a soapbox and allowing everybody to have an opinion, there's been an incredible amount of hatred and trolling and energy harvesting from people online. If we can just see this in ourselves and see this perfection in ourselves, then all the barriers break down with other people and we can change the world in a day. The real way out of this system is for people to simply love each other, respect each other, allow other people to think differently. Don't tolerate what these governments are doing. Don't tolerate for voices to be silenced, even if you don't like what someone's saying. All this censorship and all this stuff, it's not acceptable, folks. And just calling this for what it is, but doing it not from a state of aggression, But doing it from a state of love and doing it from a state of respect and steadfastness. That's how to do it, folks. We've got to learn how to simply stand in what we are, folks, because that's how we change the world, you know. But again, it's not going to come until you learn how to love yourself.